Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 5th of July and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So friends, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper from the perspective of the UPSC CSE exam. And guys, I would like to tell you that the explainer PDF that I'll use here, it is available on the Telegram channel. You can join the Telegram channel. The link is given in the description box. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the newspaper in order to identify that which articles are going to be relevant for our exam. So here we see today the page number 1. First of all, the political article. Shinde wins vote, says he's with Sena. So the Maharashtra political crisis where the government has been changed. Okay, where the CM has actually been changed. So it has been carried. Nothing is important with respect to the UPSC examination. Then guys, another similar kind of things have been provided. Nothing is here. Then moving to the city section MLAs one step closer to get 66% wage, salary hike, fine, and then the regional issues etc. have been mentioned. Advertisements are there. Okay, so in a nutshell, the political news and the regional issues are there into the regional section. And see, many of you are from other regions. Some might be having Chennai edition, some might be having Bengaluru edition. So the same story is repeated in those editions also. Okay, so we will be coming to the editorial page. Now on the editorial page, the first editorial is talking about a chaotic world, the perils of the multilateralism. So how multilateralism is failing, how multilateralism has lived its way, we'll see this particular thing. Good article. Then India needs to scale up the direct nutrition intervention. So the nutrition intervention for the mother and child is being discussed. Good article, we'll see this one also. Then in the political thicket, okay, so basically election of the speaker of Maharashtra, fine, revealed governor's partisan role. So basically how the governor, which is actually an agent sent by the central government, is playing a partisan role. Fine, so in this particular capacity it has been said that the BJP, fine, it has a particular agenda. Okay, and for that particular thing they are using the governor. On all these things are provided. Now guys, see, the governor is an important institution, but this particular article is basically having a kind of a political undertone, and these political undertones should not be there in your UPSC answers. Then deal or no deal. Fine. So guys, deal or no deal, this particular article talks about the USA and the Iran cooperation. Fine. So basically, what the issue is that there was actually the joint comprehensive plan of action that was signed between the India and USA and the Iran. Now, as per this joint comprehensive plan of action, USA wanted that Iran should not go for their uranium enrichment. Now, Iran agreed also that they will not go for the uranium enrichment, and joint comprehensive plan of action was signed. Okay, but when Donald Trump became the president, at that point of a time, Donald Trump withdrew out of this joint comprehensive plan of action. Okay, now there are the talks that again the USA and Iran should come back into this joint comprehensive plan of action, where Iran will take a target, will agree that we will not go for uranium enrichment, we will not be using the uranium for the nuclear weapons development. Now this particular deal has not been fulfilled up till now. Okay, this particular deal is hanging in the air. Now on this particular line, guys, fine, just after every few days one or two developments happen, that okay, one country made some statement, then the other country joins, and all these kind of things are going on. However, in this particular direction, concrete thing has up till now not been developed. Okay, so the other day, ball by ball commentary is not needed. Then moving on, the problem with our university vision. Okay, so basically guys, the QS world ranking, India's performance etc. have been discussed. Then right intent, confusing content, so the draft e-waste management rules have been discussed here. We'll see this thing. Then enforcing the single use plastic ban. Fine, so briefly we will see the challenges that India will face while single use plastic ban is to be enforced. Then the need for space sustainability, a very good article. We'll see this entire issue. Then guys, UPI, the dawn of digital fintech era. So basically guys, a very generalistic article talking about the UPI and all these kind of things. Fine, with respect to exam, much of substance is not there in the article. Then the page number 10 filled entirely with the political news, so please skip it. Page number 11 also again filled with the political news. Nothing is important here. India leading the world in digital revolution. So basically, Digital India Week has been celebrated, and on Digital India Week, many of the initiatives have been launched. We'll see these initiatives, that what they are. Then further moving on, after that guys, Supreme Court to list Agnipath case next week. So Agnipath scheme we have discussed already, where the youth will be recruited into the defense forces for the 4-year term. So this has now been challenged. Then moving on. After that, guys, in this particular direction, fine, on the world page, Putin orders Russians to fight on. So this Russia-Ukraine crisis is going on, okay, and similar things have been carried. Moreover, guys, in this particular direction, there was one. Just a minute. This one article, Australia to give minerals to the Indian EV makers. So we'll see that how it is going to help. Then further moving on, after that we come to the business page, and onto the business page, the trends, that how much export is growing, how much current deficit is widening, and all these things are provided. Fine. With respect to UPSC, no article is relevant here. Fine. Then this we reach to the sports page. So this is all, guys, about the overview of the today's newspaper, and now let's discuss all these important articles one by one in the detail. Now we'll be starting with the GS quote, as we do in every class. So we'll be taking the quote today from the Leo Tolstoy. So Leo Tolstoy says this thing, that the wrong does not ceases to be wrong because the majority shares in it. So basically, guys, when we talk about the ethics, see, ethics are often shaped by the society, and when we talk about that the ethics are shaped by the society, often we believe that what society collectively feels it is right and what society collectively condemns it is wrong. But no, guys, this is not the meaning of the ethics. Though society dictates ethics, but simply whatever the majority will feel, it will not become the right thing. Otherwise, it will lead to the tyranny of the majoritarianism. So wrong will be wrong even if the majority approves it, and right will be right even if the majority condemns it. Fine. So this is a very, very important principle in ethics, GS paper number 4, and please keep it in mind, and you can you can substantiate it with by giving the reference of Leo Tolstoy. So that is about the GS quote for today. Now let's take the first article. Okay, so guys, this article is very, very important article, and a direct question on this particular article could be expected in the GS paper number 3. So this article is going to be important for GS paper number 3, that is the outer space. Okay, outer space and its management, outer space management, as well as it could also be important in GS paper number 2, that is the international cooperation on the space sector, Fine. So this here it is going to be important. Now let's discuss first of all the background of this particular article, and then I will tell you that what is the exact issue that has been carried here. So guys, see, now we are in the 21st of the century, where the fourth industrial revolution, the technological advancements have reached to such a level that the sky is not a big frontier. Now the sky is not a frontier today, because of the explosion into the internet technologies have happened, digitization have happened. We need to have more bandwidth, and for that bandwidth we need to have more and more satellites are needed for virtually everything today, for your GPS locations, for basically relays of the for basically GPS network, for your TVs and everything. We need the satellites. Now outer space is very important entity today. And guys, when we talk about the outer space, there is one particular treaty onto the outer space, that is the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of the Outer Space. Now this particular committee provides this thing, that actually there are two principles that we need to adhere when the outer space is concerned. Principle number 1 is that first of all, outer space needs to be used in a sustainable manner. We should not pollute the outer space as we have done in the earth. Second thing is that, see, outer space is not a property of any one or any group of countries. Outer space is open to all. Every country can use outer space for their development, for their growth, for their progress, etc. So outer space is a kind of a collective area of progress. For this particular thing, we have the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of the Outer Spaces. Along with this treaty also imposes certain voluntary obligations on the countries who are using the outer space, who are launching their satellites into the outer space. So in this particular United Nations Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, there are the 21 voluntary targets. Fine, these are non-binding obligations that have been imposed onto the countries. Now, what are the major issues here into the outer space? First of all, we'll see them, and then we'll be coming about with the current into the article that what it is talking about. So basically there are some challenges in the outer space. Challenge number one, it happens to be the orbital crowding. Now guys, you know this particular thing, that the satellites, they are launched in a particular orbit and then they travel around the earth. Now today what has happened, the orbits, they have become very much crowded. Why? Because every country is launching their satellite, and the Amazons, Tesla, fine, they have launched their constellation of satellites which have more than hundreds of the satellites in that. So a lot of traffic kind of situation has been there, and it is leading to the orbital crowding. Now this orbital crowding poses a threat to the operations of other satellites. There could be the collisions with each other. These collisions might be creating a lot of other kind of a disasters. Moreover, it will also lead to legal and insurance related conflicts. Okay, then the next problem is the space debris. Now guys, you see, basically the satellites, basically the the satellites, once their life has been over, okay, they will then just be wandering into the space. Sometimes there are some collisions that have happened into the past, and by that there is a lot of waste, a lot of debris that has been created. And now this debris is rotating into the space, and it might hit some existing satellite, it might hit some kind of an other kind of an object into the space. It will create a lot of problem. Now guys, there is actually a protocol into the space that once a mission or a satellite has completed its life, then towards the end of the life, it is needed to be moved towards another orbit, which is called as the graveyard orbit, okay, which is actually in a low altitude. But many of the satellites, though they have been put into the graveyard orbits, but still there are leftovers which are rotating into the space. It is a very big problem. Now guys, this particular space debris or this particular orbital crowding might lead to the disputes between the nations also. For example, there, let's say, a kind of an accident that happened without any interference, but the countries can use it as an excuse that deliberate attempt was there. For example, tomorrow what happens, suppose a Chinese abandoned satellite hits the USA's satellite, very crucial satellite. USA might give a reason that this was a deliberate attempt by the China. So the sovereign disputes can also come place into the outer space. Fine. Then guys, the next issue that is there into the outer space, this is the issue of the solar and the magnetic storms. So guys, the solar and the magnetic storms, so basically the sun, it emits a lot of heat, and because of that the solar flares, solar storms are created. Now these solar storms, these heat waves, they are very much dangerous to the satellite's communication system, and the satellite's communication system gets failed. Now if more satellites and their communication system gets failed, we need to launch even more to replace them. It will further crowd the orbit, it will further create the problem of waste into the outer space. It is a very big problem. So we need to make sure that how we can make such kind of a satellites which are immune to these kind of challenges. And then guys, the next is terrestrial carbon footprint of the outer space mission. Obviously we are manufacturing satellites, we are launching the rockets, it is leading the carbon footprint. So the carbon footprint of earth is increasing as the outer space is becoming more crowded. Fine. So this is all the issues into the outer space. Now guys, this entire issue into the outer space is very, very important. Just pick these points, write them directly into your copy. Any question coming on outer space, its challenges, directly write these points. You need not to read anything beyond it. Now coming to the present news. So guys, what is the present news? Present news is about the UK, which has hosted the 4th summit on space sustainability. Now UK has hosted the 4th summit onto the space sustainability, and in this particular summit UK has come out with the plan for space sustainability. UK is simply proposing that the entire world countries need to come out with the global plan that how in a responsible and sustainable way the space can be used. Now guys, in this particular thing, the UK is proposing that we need to set a global commercial framework for insurability. Okay, a global framework for insurability is there. Let's say because by mistake another country's satellite has been destroyed by some junk, by some waste, by some existing satellite, then insurance framework needs to be there so that the country who had suffered a loss, they can be compensated. Then we need to now work on reducing the cost of cost for those who comply with the best sustainability standards and practices. Now there, let's say there are some countries which are very responsibly behaving when the outer space is concerned. So for them, we need to compensate such kind of a country, such kind of mechanism needs to be there. Now guys, UK has proposed one framework called as Astro Carta. Astro Carta, very important name, keep it in your mind. Now what is this Astro Carta? Guys, this Astro Carta is based on the Artemis Accord. Now what is this Artemis Accord? Listen very carefully. So guys, the Artemis Accord is driven by the USA's NASA, under which the different countries are joining. Recently the New Zealand has joined. So New Zealand, Canada, US, they are the members of the Artemis Accord. Artemis Accord simply provides that we need to use the outer space in a sustainable manner. Just that's it, not a difficult complicated concept. Now guys, this UK's Astro Carta, it has provided the space sustainability plan, which have 4 pillars. Space sustainability plan. What is this space sustainability plan? Number one, the world countries need to review the regulatory framework. Okay, fine. Second, with respect to the orbital activity, with respect to the outer space, etc. Second is that the multilateral organization such as the Group of Seven, G7, United Nations, they need to sign the international agreements on cooperation on the space. Then we need to have some safety and the quality related metrics. Is it clear or not? Good high quality materials, how high quality satellites needs to be launched so that their shelf life is actually long. So on quality related metrics, we need to come out with some kind of a guideline so that the sustainable activities are being carried. And thirdly, it has been provided that the UK will provide a funding of $6.1 million for the debris removal. So the junk that is floating, for their removal, they will also be giving the money. Moreover, UK has also confirmed that they will be developing a national space surveillance and tracking program. National space and surveillance tracking program. So guys, see this national space surveillance tracking program, Netra of India. Okay, I will just be discussing that. These could be suggested in your way forward if you're writing that how the space problem is needed to be dealt with. So this Astro Carta can be used there very directly. Now guys, let's see that what are the India's efforts, what India has done in this particular direction. So all these blue points, these are the India's efforts in the space sector. So number one, what first of all I'll tell you guys, when in 2020 government came out with the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package, under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package, government has proposed that the space sector of India will be liberalized. Space sector of India will be opened for the private players. And guys, recently we have also launched the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. Again, I'll repeat, Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center. It goes by the short form InSpace. Now, this particular organization is actually encouraging the startups to come in space sector. It is encouraging the private players to come into the space sector. And today, we have many of the promising startups also. For example, Agnikul, Sky Root, fine, these are developing the launch vehicles for the smaller payloads. Okay, we have Dhruva, which is developing the solar panels for the satellites. Okay, so what I mean to say is that India's footprint also into the outer space is going to increase, because now we have liberalized the outer space as a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, and this InSpace has been developed. So how India will deal with that? Side by side, India's ISRO, that is the Indian Space Research Organization, it has initiated one project by the name of Netra. Now this project Netra, it will monitor the space debris. It will be carrying the surveillance of the outer space and will see that what is the situation of debris. First of all guys, if I tell you, India's space debris is very less. We have nearly more than 110 pieces of debris out of more than 22,000 pieces of debris that are there. So India's space debris footprint is very much less, but still we will monitor. Okay, and first hand information on the status of debris, fine, will be provided by this project Netra. Moreover, the second development that has been there is that the India had signed a framework with the USA in 2+2 dialogue that we will develop the controlled anti-satellite weapons test. Okay. risk of collisions will be how the India and USA can cooperate, that the risk of collision can be reduced, and all those things we also are working. Moreover, what India is also developing, ISRO is developing a docking experiment called SpadeX. Now, what is this SpadeX? SpadeX is a kind of a mechanism that we are developing, so that how uh, on one satellite another satellite can be docked. Is it clear or not? Now see, suppose this original satellite, it has suffered kind of a problem, it has suffered some kind of a malfunctioning. Okay, it is not completely redundant, there is some kind of a partial malfunctioning that has happened in this particular satellite. Now we can still use this particular satellite by providing its additional assistance. So what we can do, we can strap one additional satellite on this particular satellite, and whatever the malfunctioning is there in this original satellite, it will be substituted by an additional satellite. So for this particular thing, we need to have a kind of a technology, we need to have a mechanism, and this mechanism SpadeX is being developed by the ISRO. It will enhance the capability of a satellite, it will enhance the life of the satellites. So this is something that is being done. Fine. So guys, that is all about this particular article. Very good and very important article. Now we'll move to the next one. Okay, enforcing the single-use plastic ban. So guys, from past few days, this single-use plastic ban issue is coming again and again into the news. Yesterday also, we have taken one particular infographic where we have taken the report as what is the state of India's plastic wastes as of now. We have discussed that what was the status of polystyrene. We have seen what is the status of PP, PET, and all these kind of things. Now guys, see, first of all, in case you don't know, fine, basically I have discussed this earlier also, that in 2019 India had participated into the United Nation Environment Authorities Summit. This was the fourth summit that was organized in 2019, and there we have taken a target that by 2022 we will phase out the single-use plastics. What are the single-use plastics? First of all, now guys, single-use plastics is your straw. Now all the plastics which will be used only for one time, for example earbuds. Now the earbuds, they have that plastic that tip. Okay, so earbuds, stirrers, straws, fine, they are the single use plastics. They are to be phased out by 2022 July. Okay, and now we are in a phase that the single use plastics have legally been phased out. Okay, now guys, to implement this particular thing, actually what happened in 2021, plastic waste management rules came out. These plastic waste management rules have provided a deadline of July 2022 that single use plastics will be phased out, and this thing has now come into the force. Second development that was there was this, that along with this we also will increase the thickness of the plastic carrying bags. So the thickness of the plastic carrying bags, it is being increased from 50 microns, and by December 2022 it will be increased to 120 microns. Now why the plastic bags, their thickness is to be increased? Guys, very simple explanation is there. See, if a plastic bag is very much thin, there will be no incentive by a waste collector to collect that particular thing. In our India, the waste collection is an informal sector. So if it is thick, it can be recycled easily, it can be used for some other purpose. Okay, so therefore thick plastic bags are collected more by the waste collectors, thin bags are not collected. So therefore we are increasing the thickness. One. Second thing, if the thickness is going to be increased, obviously the cost will increase, and by that people will use less of the plastics. Now coming back, basically guys, to implement this plastic waste management rules and to make sure that the single use plastics are phased out properly, now the state governments, they had come out with the state level control rooms. Now these control rooms would check the illegal manufacturing, import, stocking, distribution, as well as sale of the single use plastics. If there is any kind of such kind of thing is going on, then the penalties will be imposed by these state level, basically penalties will be imposed on such kind of things. Now first of all, now guys, after that, basically there will be certain implications of this particular ban that will come. The implications are like this. Number one, more than 88,000 units, which is employing more than 1 million people, more than 10 lakh people, they will be then become jobless. Around 25,000 crore rupees Indian into the exports are being contributed by the single use plastic industry. So that particular export will be lost. 1 million people will lose their jobs. 88,000 units will be shuttered. Then it is being provided that, see, fast moving consumer goods companies, FMCGs, they use a lot of single use plastics for their wrapping, for their packaging, etc. Fine, they will face a lot of kind of problems. Okay, they depend on plastic straws. For example, you consume fruity. Okay, in that fruity there is a plastic straw, so they will face a problem. Then guys, there is also issue that what will be the alternative. Biodegradable replacements are not available, and India has a very limited capacity to even provide that. Okay, so these are all the challenges that are going to come. So guys, a question is expected on this particular line in GS paper number 3, environment, and if it comes, please do have these points. Now we'll move to the next. Okay, so guys, this is a very important article. Very good kind of initiatives have been launched here, which you can directly use. So first of all, where this article is going to be used, this article will be important in GS paper number 2, e-governance. GS paper number 2, e-governance. Now what has happened? Digital India Week is being celebrated, and on this Digital India Week, the Prime Minister has first of all appreciated India's role in the 4th Industrial Revolution. So guys, right now we are in the middle of the 4th Industrial Revolution, where the revolution is being brought by the artificial intelligence, machine to machine learning. Is it clear? All these kind of things, Internet of Things. So India today has a vibrant tech sector which is playing a very important role in the 4th Industrial Revolution. Now guys, after this, Prime Minister has initiated many of the digital platforms. So what these digital platforms are, we are going to see. In this particular direction guys, this particular Hindu's article doesn't contain much of information. It has just mentioned the names of these platforms, but it has not explained what they are. So we here have taken the help of the other newspapers also. Okay, PIB also we have used here. Now, the Prime Minister has launched the initiative. First of all, the India Stack.global platform has been launched. Now, what is this India Stack.global? I will explain you in a very simple words. So guys, see, India has come out with many of the open platforms. Okay, open platforms, open softwares are there. Even on this particular line, the question came in this year's prelims examination. What are the open source softwares? Open source softwares are the ones which are basically the coding of which will be provided to the people. If anybody wants to use this particular code, if anybody wants to use this particular software, they can do that particular thing. So they are the open source softwares. For example, India's DigiLocker, India's COVID vaccination platform, UPI, okay, Aadhaar ecosystem. So these are the open softwares, okay, which are provided, and if some other country want to use these particular initiatives, they can use. For example guys, the UPI, it is an open source platform, open source software that has been developed by the NPCI. Today, NPCI has its own application on UPI by the name of Bhim. But you see, the UPI has been used, and the other players have also prepared apps on that. For example, you have Phone Pay, you have Google Pay, you have then many other kind of applications are there. Paytm is also using the UPI. How? Because NPCI has kept UPI as an open software. So guys, in such a way, we have many of such kind of open source softwares, open source programs. For example, UPI is there, Diksha is there, government e-marketplace is there. Fine. Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission, it is an open source software. So basically, this India Stack will contain all these, will contain the repository of them, as well as it will contain the repository of the projects that have been developed by other countries by using them. Okay, for example, let's say Australia starts using India's UPI. So global repository of all such kind of things will be available here. This particular thing will actually help in positioning India as the leader of the building digital transformation projects. Fine. So this is first. Second is the My Scheme platform. What is this My Scheme platform? So guys, suppose you belong to a scheduled caste community, and your monthly or your yearly family income is below a particular level. So guys, government is running a lot of schemes, fine, where you can take the advantage. So My Scheme portal could be accessed, where citizen can access all the schemes which they are eligible for. Okay, so you don't need to run to different websites to avail the schemes. At one site, all the schemes that you are eligible for will be told to you. Then the next is the Meri Pehchan platform. Now this Meri Pehchan platform, it is a national single sign-on for one citizen login. So basically guys, here a single set of credentials will provide you the access to the different services that the government is providing. Okay, so this is a single sign-in platform that is there. Then the next is the Digital India Bhashini. Now this Digital India Bhashini, it will help, see, everybody in India doesn't knows English, even everybody doesn't knows Hindi. So there are so many of the languages that we have in India. So basically Digital India Bhashini will provide the accessibility of internet digital services in Indian languages. Okay, in Tamil, in Kannada, okay, in Malayalam, how you can access the internet. The Digital India Bhashini will help it here. It will also have the voice based access. Okay, now guys, see, okay, if we want to create these particular platforms in regional, in other Indian languages, obviously we will need some support also. So this Digital India Bhashini will also be having an element of the crowdsourcing. What is crowdsourcing? The citizens can provide the assistance, they can provide the data sets. Okay, and for that there is one separate initiative by the name of the Bhasha Dan. Let's say guys, let's say you are a scholar of Malayalam language. Now you want that the internet should be accessible into the Malayalam language, so you need to provide certain content. Okay, you need to provide certain translations of English content into the Malayalam. So if you want, you can contribute that. Okay, I have converted this English content in Malayalam which should be used in that particular website. You can make that contribution through this Bhasha Dan. Then the next is the Digital India Genesis. Now this Digital India Genesis will help to discover the startups, the technology driven startups in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Now you know that majority of startups are coming from Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, etc. But in tier 2, tier 3 cities also the startups are to be given assistance. Then there is a C2S program. So guys, this C2S means chips to startups. Chips to startups. Which chips? Not Lays and Uncle chips, the semiconductor chips. So many of the tech startups, they need that semiconductor chips. So basically we will train a specialized manpower for the design of semiconductors, for the manufacturing of the semiconductors, so that these semiconductors is provided to our tech industries and their growth is ensured. Moreover, India, basically this C2S chips to startup program will be the part of India semiconductor mission, where government has taken a target that a strong ecosystem for the semiconductor chips will be developed. So guys, all these initiatives have come and very good development is there, and these initiatives can be used as a case study in your answers. So that is all about it. Now we'll move to the next one. India needs to scale up direct nutrition interventions. Now guys, this particular article will be important in GS paper number 2, social justice, issue of hunger. Now see this particular article, guys. This article says this thing, that basically the health of a child is connected with the health of a mother. If the mother will be healthy, if mother will be nutritious, if properly fed, the child will be fed. If the child will be healthy, child can contribute into the economic, into the nation building. Okay, basically preconception nutrition, okay, maternal nutrition, child feeding in the first 1000 days are needed to be given priority. When a mother is pregnant, okay, that time mother's nutrition, when the mother is feeding a child, at that time of mother's nutrition, and for the first 2 years, that nutrition, mother's milk as well as a semi-solid nutrition that is being given to the child, they are very important in order to preserve both mother as well as the child. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that see, even India is having so rich heritage of traditional diets. We have such advancement into the science and technology. We have traditional wisdom, wealth. We have so rich agriculture. We have so many of the resources. But still, guys, the child malnutrition in India is very much high. 35.5% children in India are stunted. 35.5% children in India are stunted. Stunted means that they don't have proper height, which should be there corresponding to their age. Now this particular data is taken from the National Family Health Survey 5. After that, guys, basically all different factors. Even under 5 child mortality in India is very much high. Datas will be discussing throughout this particular article, don't worry. Now the poor nutrition is not physically threatening, it also impacts the learning capacity, and learning capacity will impact the vocations, the education of a person, and the vocation of education, if it is impacted, the lifelong learning capability will get impacted, and economic output, economic well-being of the people will not be there. It will further lead to the diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, etc. Now guys, government has earlier started the National Nutrition Mission, then it got rebranded into the Poshan Abhiyan. In the Poshan Abhiyan, the malnutrition of women, children and adolescent girl is being focused, and specifically we have one particular ministry also, Ministry of Women and Child Development. Now Ministry of Women and Child Development is a key ministry which is making sure that the Poshan Abhiyan is a success. It is making sure that 1000 days, first 1000 days, 270 days of pregnancy, 9 months of pregnancy, and then the next 730 days, that is the 2 years of the child, they should be preserved. Now guys, when we talk about the Poshan Abhiyan, in Poshan Abhiyan, special emphasis is being given onto the nutritional interventions. Fine, the mother, infant, young children, directly they are being provided the nutritions. This is something, but guys, still we need to do more, because guys, there is still the needs. Though according to the National Family Health Survey 5, improvement has been there. National Family Health Survey 5, the improvement has been there. For example guys, now nearly 70% of the mothers, they are taking the antenatal service. What is the antenatal service? The antenatal service is the care of a child while the mother is pregnant. So there is antenatal, there is postnatal. Postnatal after the delivery, antenatal before the delivery. So 70% mothers are taking the antenatal service. Women have their own saving bank accounts. 78% women now have saving account. Now women are operating mobile phone, around 54%. Now around 23.3% of women are getting married before the age of 18 years. This is something which is to be worried. Then women with 10 or more years of schooling, their number have increased to 41%. Women which have access to clean fuel, cooking fuel, their number is increased to 68.6%. Success of the Ujjwala Yojana. But guys, still we need to do much more in this particular direction guys. Preconception nutrition, mother's nutrition, it is needed to be actively, it is to be discussed. 20 to 30% of undernutrition is there into the first 6 months of life. Exclusive breastfeeding, the focus is not there. Many a times the mother is poor, mother has to go on to the wages, she is not able to provide the exclusive breastfeeding to the child in first 2 years. Is it clear or not? So in this particular direction we need to sensitize them. Fine, planned breastfeeding counseling is to be given to the pregnant mothers. They are needed to be told that how it is a very important thing. Apart from that, complementary feeding practices, fine, semi-solid feeding, fine, breast milk, all these particular things are also needed to be emphasized. So guys, what should be done? What is the need of the hour? Okay, the need of the hour is that the Poshan 2.0, which has now been launched, it needs to focus on implementation. Provisions are there, but implementation is to be focused. Second, we need to revisit the ICDS, Integrated Child Development Service. So guys, Integrated Child Development Service, 6 services are being provided to the mothers as well as the women. Now ICDS is going on from 1970s, but still now, till now even it has not been made an impact. So reform into the ICDS are needed to be done. For example, the take-home ration packets are needed to be provided. Fine, moreover, some more suggestions could be provided. For example, the leafy vegetables are to be provided. Okay, not only the food, but the food which is balanced in terms of protein, carbohydrate, fat, it is to be focused. All these things are there. So this is all about this particular article, guys. And now we'll move to the next article. In chaotic world, the perils of multilateralism. Now, what this particular article, guys, is talking about, see this thing. Basically, we have the multilateral groupings, we have bilateral groupings. So bilateral groupings is one where 2 countries are involved. For example, India and USA. Fine, it is a bilateral grouping. India and Australia, it is a bilateral grouping. Multilateral grouping are there where more than 2 countries are involved in any particular kind of a cooperation. For example, G7, it is a multilateral grouping. WTO, it is a multilateral grouping. Okay, BRICS is a multilateral grouping, more than two countries are there. Now, this article says that basically right now the world has seen that the multilateralism has been failed and bilateral mechanisms are more successful. We'll be taking certain examples in this particular article to understand that how multilateralism got failed. So, first example has been given of the BRICS. So BRICS, you know, it stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Few days back, we have discussed the BRICS also because the 14th BRICS summit was hosted by the China, which was attended virtually by the Indian Prime Minister also. Now, guys, originally, I have told you this thing even earlier also that the idea of BRICS, original idea was of BRIC, that is Britain, Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And this acronym was given by the economist Jim O'Neill. He said that these four countries will be a very big economic players by year 2050. The global growth will be driven by these four countries. Fine. And however, what happened laterwards around 2010, South Africa also got added. Okay, and the idea was came that onto the lines of the Bretton Woods institution, BRICS will be building up many such institutions. But actually, what have happened over the years, rather than the economic grouping, the BRICS have become a political grouping. They are talking on political agendas. They are talking on to the political issues. So BRIC has lost its focus. Moreover, guys, within the BRICS also, there are many of the disputes that are there. For example, many contradictions are there. For example, if you see, two members of the BRICS, that is the Russia and the China, these are the permanent members of the Security Council, and at the same time the other two members, that is the Brazil and India, they are aspiring to be the permanent member. Now this is a conflict. China and Russia will never allow others to come into the permanent member seat, and here we, India and Brazil, are both aspiring to be the permanent member. It is a kind of a irritant that is there. Second, guys, within the China and India, that relations are not good after the Galwan Valley episode onto the LAC. Now because the disputes are here, obviously we cannot cooperate under the BRICS. Then, guys, the Russia China link is there. Now understand this particular thing, that earlier Russia used to favor India, but now Russia needs China because Russia is fighting the war in Ukraine, and because of that the USA is against Russia, and because USA is against Russia, Russia needs a partner in the form of China. So today whatever China will do, Russia will not take a side. So here again, guys, the India might get cornered and China is showing its hegemony. Then further moving on, basically responsiveness, effectiveness, transparency, it is completely missing because China as well as Russia have been the country which have violated these things a multiple number of times. So transparency, rule of order cannot be the hallmarks of this BRICS. Then after that, understand this thing, that China had never favored India. China never made an attempt to bring India into Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Though India met all the conditions, India had appealed, but never China took an attempt. Moreover, Sri Lankan experience. Right now you see, Sri Lanka is going through an economic crisis. China was never there. Who came? India came. China took over the Sri Lanka's Hambantota port when the Sri Lanka was not able to pay back. But when now the genuine assistance is taken, okay, it has been India, not China, which has come to the rescue. Then you can take the example of the G7 also. So guys, recently the G7 meet was also hosted by the Germany. Indian Prime Minister went there in person. But so India has been called into the G7, but guys, G7 has not took any viewpoint of the India. It has made its own statement onto the Ukraine war and has just given a kind of a lecture to the India that you should take the west side and not the Russian side. So India, they actually have dictated, okay, it is not a cooperation. So multilateralism has failed at here also. However, on to the same time, the bilateral agreements are successful. So recently, guys, the Indian basically we have signed. The Indian Prime Minister has visited the UAE. Moreover, in this year 2022, we and UAE have even signed the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (CEPA). Now this CEPA is going to increase the bilateral trade between the India and UAE. Right now the bilateral trade between India and UAE is around $72 billion. UAE today is India's third largest trading partner. So when one-to-one relations, bilateral relations are concerned, they are more successful. The same goes with the India-Australia. India-Australia's relations are so successful that we have recently signed the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement with Australia. So bilateral engagements are becoming more prevalent, more successful than the multilateral engagements. So that is all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next. Right intent, confusing content. Now this particular article, guys, it talks about the recent the recent changes that are being suggested to the e-waste management rules. So the draft e-waste management rules have been brought. They have been put into the public for their suggestions. Okay, so we'll be seeing these particular draft e-waste management rules. Now this particular thing will be important for our GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, environment, and electronic e-waste pollution, etc. E-waste pollution, etc. Now guys, what is the e-waste? E-waste is electronic waste. So tomorrow your mobile phone will become old, you will dump it, it will become e-waste. Your laptop will become old, you will dump it, it will also become e-waste. So guys, e-waste is a very big problem because many a times they have many of the harmful components. It has radium sometimes. Okay, it has radium, it has many such kind of other, for example lead is there. Okay, many such types of plastics are there which whose recycling, whose basically ecological footprint is sometimes very much negative. So now we have come out with the new rules so that these e-waste management in India can be strengthened. Now guys, these new rules, it has provided that the producers of the e-goods, producer of the mobile phone, tablet, laptops or any e-goods, they need to make sure that at least 60% of their produced e-waste is being recycled by 2023. Further, it has been provided that such kind of a things will be having one particular legal obligation also. If a company is not able to recycle 60% of their e-waste, then there will be the compliances cost that will be there. Now the question comes here that okay, you have put a very ambitious target, but guys, still in India e-waste recycling is done in an informal way. There is an informal sector. So is there the technical feasibility that 60% of the e-waste could be recycled? You need to make sure that particular thing. Earlier what was happening guys, there was a condition that you need to collect some part of your e-waste. That was easy, but recycling 60% of e-waste is a problematic thing because the technical feasibility is not there. In this particular direction guys, it has also been provided that in India, as informal sector does this e-waste collection segregation, will there be an attempt to formalize them? No such kind of thing has been talked about. Secondly guys, it has been provided that there are the European countries which have also already come out with these kind of situation conditions that the e-waste manufacturers, they need to recycle 50 or 60% of their e-waste, but implementation, enforcing it has been very much difficult even into the European countries. So at least the Ministry of Environment and the Central Pollution Control Board needs to come out with certain practices and need to give these practices to the industry so that they can use it. Moreover, into these e-waste rules, a provision of steering committee has been made which will actually be looking forward that whether the e-waste rules are being implemented, it will monitor them, supervise them. But guys, basically into the steering committee, who will be the members? Chairman of the CPCB, the chairman will be the CPCB's chairperson. Then there will be the representatives of the Ministry of Electronics and IT. Fine, there will be the representatives of Ministry of Electronics and IT. The producers association, recyclers, they will send their members here. But guys, there is no representation of civil society. There is no representation of the NGOs. This is something which should have been there. So this is guys about the e-waste rules. However, I am telling you one thing very clearly. These are the draft rules. Draft rules means they are not the final. So you don't need to go too much into the detail. Just have an overview, generalistic idea. Once it will be finalized, then it will become more important. Okay, so this is about it. Then guys, Australia to give minerals to Indian EV makers, electronic vehicle makers. So basically what has happened guys, we have seen already that this year, apart from the CEPA that we have signed with the UAE, India has also signed the ECTA with the Australia, that is the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. So in this, India-Australia cooperation will increase. And guys, Australia had now declared that to the EV makers of India, Australia will provide all the strategic materials. Is it clear? Fine. So minerals, strategic materials, let's say the rare earth materials that is being provided, Australia will help India in that regard. This is just one liner concept that has been conducted. Okay, apart from that, much of the specific details are not provided in this particular article. Basically what has happened, a kind of a Okay, what has happened? A kind of a MOU has been signed between the Khanji Bidesh India Limited, that is Kabil, and the Critical Mineral Facilitation Office of Australia. So they will try to provide the lithium, cobalt from the Australia, as well as other minerals that the EV producers will be needing. So this is just a one liner example that you can use in your answers if you are writing onto the India Australia cooperation. Fine, beyond that, substance is not there. So this is all, guys, about this particular article. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. So guys, I hope that you are liking the videos and you are getting the needed content here in our videos, which you can use in your answers. So that is all for today. If you have liked, please do hit the like button. Please do leave your comments. They are very, very valuable.